The United States attacked Iran's nuclear program twice, June 2025, February 2026. B-2 stealth bombers, bunker buster bombs weighing 30,000 pounds each, the largest non-nuclear strikes on a nuclear facility in the history of modern warfare. The stated objective both times was identical: prevent Iran from building a nuclear bomb. This week, Iran's parliament began urgently drafting legislation to exit the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the only international agreement that legally prevents Iran from building a nuclear bomb. Run that equation. 2 wars, hundreds of strikes, billions of dollars. And the direct result is that Iran is now, for the first time in its history, officially moving toward removing the legal barrier between itself and a nuclear weapon. We do not celebrate weapons at Navy Beacon. We calculate whether they work. And this calculation produces a number that no Pentagon briefing has stated clearly enough. Before the June 2025 strikes, U.S. intelligence assessed Iran's breakout time, the time required to produce enough weapons-grade uranium for 1 bomb, at less than 2 weeks. After the strikes, the Defense Intelligence Agency's own assessment concluded the program was set back by, quote, maybe a few months, tops. Not years, not a generation, months. And somewhere underground in Isfahan, the material for up to 10 nuclear weapons is still sitting in canisters roughly the size of scuba tanks, largely inaccessible, largely intact, its exact location unknown. Subscribe to Navy Beacon. Because what we are about to show you is not a story about a military failure. It is a story about a strategic equation that produced the exact outcome it was designed to prevent, and the physics of why that was always the more likely result. Let us start with what the strikes actually hit, and what they did not. The United States and Israel struck 3 primary Iranian nuclear sites in June 2025: Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan. These are not small facilities. Natanz alone houses thousands of advanced centrifuges in an underground complex specifically engineered to survive conventional munition strikes. Fordow is built into a mountain. Isfahan contains the conversion facility that turns uranium gas into the metal components used in bomb construction. Trump declared the program obliterated. The B-2 pilots flew perfectly executed missions. The 30,000-pound bunker busters were the largest conventional bombs in the American arsenal. Here is what the classified Defense Intelligence Agency assessment found when the smoke cleared. The centrifuges at Fordow and Natanz were largely intact. The above-ground structures were severely damaged. Power infrastructure, entrance buildings, processing facilities above the surface. The underground core, where the actual enrichment happens, survived. The early U.S. intelligence report, according to sources familiar with its contents, concluded that Iran's enriched uranium stockpile had not been destroyed. And one source said, the intelligence assessed that the enriched uranium had been moved out of the sites prior to the U.S. strikes. The White House called the assessment flat-out wrong. The CIA director said the strikes destroyed Iran's lone metal conversion facility, a setback that would take years to overcome. Both things can be true simultaneously. The metal conversion facility was destroyed. The centrifuges survived. The enriched uranium survived. And a single cascade of 175 IR-6 centrifuges, the kind Iran has been building for years, can produce the weapons-grade material needed for 1 nuclear bomb every 25 days. That number is not classified. It is in the IAEA's own technical assessments. Let us look at what Iran actually has underground right now. Before the June 2025 strikes, Iran had accumulated approximately 440 kilograms of uranium, enriched to 60% purity. 60% is not weapons grade. Weapons grade is 90%. But 60% is not civilian grade either. Civilian nuclear power requires 3 to 5% enrichment. 60% has one credible purpose in the assessment of every nuclear physicist and intelligence agency that has reviewed it. The IAEA called it a serious concern, and noted that Iran was the only non-nuclear weapon state on Earth producing material at that purity level. After the June 2025 strikes, IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi confirmed that roughly 200 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium remains underground at Isfahan. The strikes damaged or destroyed some of the stockpile at the above-ground facilities, but the material stored underground survived. 200 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium, processed through a cascade of advanced centrifuges to 90%. The physics produces enough fissile material for approximately 5 nuclear weapons. And here is the detail that makes this extraordinary. The United States knows it is there. The IAEA knows it is there. Iran knows the US, and Israel know. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs told Congress directly that the underground storage area at Isfahan is so deeply buried that even the massive ordnance penetrator, the largest conventional bomb in the American inventory, the same weapon that was dropped on Fordo, cannot reach it. The material for 5 nuclear weapons is sitting in canisters underground in Iran. The United States cannot destroy it with conventional munitions. And as of this week, Iran's parliament is drafting legislation to remove the international legal framework that constrains what Iran can do with it. Type equation in the comments if you already see where this is going. Now, let us look at the NPT itself, because understanding what Iran is threatening to exit tells you more about the strategic stakes than any weapon system we have covered on this channel. The Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons was signed in 1968. 191 countries are signatories. Its core bargain is straightforward. Non-nuclear states agree not to develop nuclear weapons. Nuclear states agree to IAEA inspections and to work toward eventual disarmament. In exchange, all signatories get access to peaceful nuclear technology and the international legal protections that come with NPT membership. Iran has been a member since 1970. For 56 years, NPT membership has been the legal architecture that gave international inspectors access to Iranian nuclear sites, that justified sanctions when Iran violated its commitments, and that provided the diplomatic framework for every nuclear negotiation between Tehran and Washington. Withdrawal from the NPT requires 90 days' notice. After that, Iran's nuclear program becomes legally unconstrained by international treaty. The IAEA loses its inspection rights. The enrichment limits disappear. The legal barrier between Iran and a nuclear weapon is removed. North Korea withdrew from the NPT in 2003. It tested its first nuclear device in 2006. It now has an estimated 40 to 50 warheads. Iran's parliament member Ebrahim Rezai framed the withdrawal case in terms that deserve to be heard precisely. The NPT, he said, has offered Iran no advantage whatsoever. It has neither protected the country from attack by nuclear powers, nor prevented repeated strikes on nuclear facilities. International documents and agreements, he said, have been completely disregarded. That argument has a specific logic. Iran signed the NPT. Iran accepted IAEA inspections. Iran participated in the international legal framework. And in June 2025, while under NPT membership, the United States and Israel struck its nuclear facilities anyway. The argument being made in Tehran's parliament is not irrational. It is precisely the argument that nuclear strategists have always known was waiting at the end of a military-only non-proliferation policy. Subscribe to Navy Beacon, because the equation we are building here is the one that will define the next decade of global security. And nobody else is laying it out this clearly. Let us now look at the strategic calculation that the United States was actually making, and where it diverges from the outcome it produced. The theory behind the strikes was this: military force sets back Iran's nuclear program by years. During those years, diplomatic pressure and internal regime instability create a window for a negotiated settlement. Iran, weakened and isolated, accepts terms that permanently constrain its nuclear ambitions in exchange for sanctions relief. That theory has a name in proliferation studies. It is called coercive disarmament, and its track record in the nuclear domain is essentially zero. The case that illustrates why is not Iran. It is the broader proliferation landscape. Every state that has acquired nuclear weapons did so precisely because it faced an existential threat that conventional military force could not reliably deter. North Korea, Pakistan, Israel itself. The logic is consistent across cases. A state that believes its survival is genuinely at stake does not calculate its way out of nuclear weapons. It calculates its way toward them. The strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities in June 2025 and February 2026 did not change Iran's threat environment. They intensified it. They killed the supreme leader. They destroyed the IRGC command structure. They made the existential threat that nuclear weapons are designed to deter not hypothetical, but actual. According to a report from the Institute for International Political Studies, Sources in Tehran indicated that as early as October 2025, the Supreme Leader had authorized development of miniaturized nuclear warheads for ballistic missiles. That authorization came after the June 2025 strikes, not before. The strikes designed to prevent Iran from building a nuclear bomb may have produced the political authorization to build one. And here is the final variable in the equation that the planning documents did not adequately weight. Iran still has the knowledge. Military strikes can destroy facilities. They cannot destroy the physics education of several thousand Iranian nuclear engineers. They cannot destroy the centrifuge design specifications stored in the minds of the scientists who built them. They cannot destroy the institutional knowledge accumulated over 40 years of a civilian nuclear program. The Arms Control Association put it plainly. At the end of this conflict, Iran will retain the nuclear expertise and likely key materials necessary for building a nuclear bomb. The IAEA Director General said something similar and more directly. When asked whether the strikes could totally destroy Iran's nuclear program, Grossi said the answer was no. Unless it was nuclear war, and you go for destruction, unfathomable. That is the IAEA Director General telling the United States and Israel that conventional military force cannot solve the nuclear proliferation problem they have set out to solve. So what does the equation actually look like right now? Iran has several hundred kilograms of 60% enriched uranium stored underground, where American bombs cannot reach it. It has nuclear engineers who know how to enrich that material to weapons grade. It has centrifuge designs that can accomplish the enrichment in weeks, not years. It has a parliament drafting legislation to remove the only international legal constraint on using that material for weapons. And it has a new supreme leader who said publicly this week that the Strait of Hormuz blockade must continue, a demonstration that the new leadership has not become more accommodating under military pressure. It has become more confrontational. The United States attacked Iran's nuclear program to set it back by years. The Defense Intelligence Agency assessed the actual setback at months. Iran has spent those months building a political consensus for NPT withdrawal that did not exist before the strikes. That is not a complete failure of military force. The above-ground facilities were severely damaged. The metal conversion capability was eliminated. The program was disrupted. But disruption and elimination are different outcomes. And the political consequence of the strikes, the transformation of Iran's internal debate from whether to constrain the nuclear program to whether to exit the treaty entirely, is the variable that the targeting lists did not include. The question that will determine the next decade is the one currently being debated in Tehran's parliament, in the UN Security Council, and in intelligence briefings from Washington to Tel Aviv. If Iran exits the NPT, the international community loses its legal framework for monitoring and constraining its nuclear program. The 90 days of notice required by the treaty will begin a countdown, and at the end of that countdown, the enriched uranium sitting in canisters underground in Isfahan will have no international legal barrier between it and a weapons program. The strikes were designed to buy time for diplomacy. They may have instead consumed it. We do not worship the machine at Navy Beacon. We worship the equation. And this equation, 2 wars, 2 failed attempts at coercive disarmament, an intact uranium stockpile, and a parliament voting to exit the only treaty that legally separates Iran from a nuclear weapon, is the one that every government in the world is now trying to solve before April 6th. The deadline is real, the math is real, and the outcome is not written yet. Stay vigilant, stay informed.